Welcome back to Variant Quran. I'm Daniel Brubaker. Well, I've accepted an invitation to teach a master's level course on the Quran at Veritas International University. It is something that I do occasionally. I teach, and I'm happy to have accepted this invitation. Now, it will be in just over a month from now, and so registration is going on. This video is an announcement of it. I like teaching courses like this from time to time because it keeps me sharp, and it also helps to pass along knowledge in a more formal way. So if any of you are Christians and are interested in signing up and taking this course, do so quickly so that you can get in. I hope it will be fruitful to you, and I just wanted to preface this introduction video with that. I'm open to teaching at all kinds of institutions, and so Veritas invited me. I considered it and thought it was a valuable and worthwhile thing to do. So thanks so much for watching. We'll continue to put out more videos. I just wanted to make this brief announcement. Thank you.
Well, hello. This is Dr. Jay Smith with another good friend of mine, Dr. Dan Brubaker. And we are coming to you because of a brand new course that's going to be starting at the end of June 28th to be exact. It's the course you've all been waiting for. This is the course about the Quran itself. Now, who better than the person who probably is one of the most famous in the world today concerning the Quran because of what he is finding out about the Quran concerning the variants and all that material surrounding the problem with the preservation of the Quran. Dr. Dan Brubaker is no stranger to this channel, and I'm sure he's not a stranger to many of you. I want to thank you, Dr. Brubaker, for coming on board. Okay, well, this is going to be a course that really is taught solely by you. Now, tell us a little bit about this course. What exactly are we going to hear? What exactly is it about? Why are you teaching this course at this time on this subject?
Well, I have to begin by saying that you and I did not coordinate our wardrobe this afternoon. This is a complete coincidence.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it just sort of happened. Now, I'm very happy to have been asked by Veritas International University to teach this course, and I don't teach all the time, but and I have to thank you for your kind words about my prominence in the area. I don't think I'm quite as prominent as you say on this topic, but I do think I have some things to offer. And my purpose in teaching this course, my overarching entire purpose, is really to orient you who are attending the course and taking it to the Quran. And I want you to orient you to it, to its themes, to its content, to its structure, language, its history, its traditional views of its history, and modern contemporary scholarship on it. And just so you kind of get your bearings, and it can be a very confusing and daunting topic, but really in a nutshell, that's what we plan to do during this course.
I'm going to come back to you, Daniel. I want you to actually unpack each one of the 10 lectures that you will be offering. But before we do that, just so those of you know when this course is going to start on June 28th. Now, there are two ways we can do this course, and it all depends on how many of you actually sign up. This is a master's degree course. It is also for a doctorate level. However, you don't have to do it as a master's program. You do not have to do it as a doctoral program. You can audit the course. If you want to audit, that means you just show up for the lectures. You're there to listen to Daniel. You can do this live because Daniel is going to be in California to teach it at the venue where we will tell you. We're not going to tell you the venue, of course, online. The venue will come to you once you have signed up. But he will be there depending on how many of you decide that you want to come and see him face to face and hear him face to face. If that happens, then we will be holding the course live every night from June 28th to July 3rd. So that's 6 days where he will be there. You will see him. You will be able to interact with him face to face. You can even go out to dinner with him. But that's for people who want to have that personal interaction, which I find is the best way to teach. Don't you, Daniel?
I do. I enjoy teaching in person. It's much more comfortable and natural to teach to real people than to a screen on the computer.
Now, for those of you who say, hold on a minute, I don't have the time or the energy or the expense to fly all the way to California, none the problem, not the problem. Because every lecture that he teaches, he'll be doing it also to Zoom webinar. So wherever you are in the world, you will get it. You will get it live every night from June the 28th to July the 3rd. Now, however, if not enough people sign up to do live, then he will teach from where he is right now, from his office, in his home. And therefore, he will teach it by Zoom webinar every night, every Monday night, starting with June 28th. And that will go for 7 weeks. We cannot say that till the end of this month. We don't know which way we're going to go. It all depends on how many people sign up to come to California. Regardless, for those who don't want it master's degree, if you're going to take it as a master's, if you're going to take it as a doctorate, it's about $1,000 for the credit. It is 3 credit hours that goes towards your 36 credit hours for the whole program. So that will be about $1,000 for anybody that wants to get master's degree credit or doctoral credit. For those of you who don't care about the credit, it'll cost $280 if you want to audit, and you will get a certificate for auditing it. $280 will give you all the lectures and will also allow you on Populi, so you'll hear the discussions and you'll see the reflections of the other students. For those of you who don't want any of that, but just want to show up for the lectures, just want the lectures, just want to hear what Daniel has to say, and also receive the PowerPoints, it only is $185, and that is called personal enrichment. So there are 3 levels. There is the academic level, which you have to pay an awful lot more, but you get academic credit for it. There is the audit level, which you don't have to pay as much, $280 for the whole course. That will give you an audit certificate. And then there is the personal enrichment, where you're just showing up and all you do is hear the lectures and you get the PowerPoints, like the others do as well. So you decide what you want to do, because if not enough people show up by the end of this month for the California trips, all of you will still get the lectures, you will still get the PowerPoint, and those of you who are doing for academic credit, you will also be able to have to engage. In fact, you will have to engage, because you will have to not only be able to be reading the books and reflect on those books, you'll also be discussing during the week, and you will have a final exam, and you will have a paper to write. But that's just for those who want to take it for credit. That's what credit means. Now, Daniel, back to the content. Let's talk about the content itself. Could you just go through quickly and do a brief overview of each one of the 10 lectures you're going to be introducing in this course?
Yes, thank you. And the course is going to follow a fairly logical sequence. The topics that I mentioned are not necessarily going to be lecture by lecture, but we're going to move through and progress from a general overview to some more specifics, touching on different aspects and points of view. And so we'll begin with a general overview of the Quran itself, major 30,000 foot look at its themes, its history, its perspective on the world, its theology. We're going to go a little bit deeper into its theology after that. The next thing that we will look at is the traditional view of the Quran's history. So if you're looking at what is commonly accepted about how the Quran came to be as an oral text and then came to be as a written text, we're going to talk about that, because that will form the launching point from which we'll have the rest of the discussion in the course. And at that time, we'll also look a little bit into some of the critical scholarship and some of the issues that are raised within that. The point in this course is not necessarily to come to very strong conclusions, but to make you aware of the range of views, the traditional accounts, sort of questions that academics have been asking in the past century, couple of centuries, and are asking today. So from there, we move into a look at the content of the Quran, dealing with the theology and the major themes. The Quran is obviously a book of theology. It is presenting a view of the world, a view of God, and a view of humanity that is very strongly asserted. And so we want to know what assertions the Quran actually does make in that. What does it say about God? What does it say about humanity? What does it say about salvation? And what does it say about, for example, how society should be structured and so forth? And you may know some of these things, some things about that. We will not cover every topic, but we will hit the important points. After that, we are going to turn our attention to the history of the Quran as a physical object. And this comes a little bit more close to the area of study where I have focused my attention in my doctoral work. According to tradition, was delivered in an oral way. In other words, Muhammad would recite, the people around him in his community would memorize it, and they would repeat it. And then at some point, at some later date, it came to be written down. And so what we're doing when we look at the manuscripts and inscriptions, looking at obviously we can't time travel back to the point in time that the Quran was delivered or came to be, but we do have these little snapshots into that time. So we're going to look at what exists in the manuscripts, what are some interesting features of it, and how myself and others who are considering these things are dealing with these things, the sort of methodologies that we're using to analyze and consider what they tell us. And the reason, as you know, Jay, to do that is to compare that and sort of be a way to triangulate with the traditional account and evaluate it against the physical evidence. After we have that initial conversation about the Quran as an object, we are going to look a little bit at the Quran's exegetical tradition. Obviously, this is not an area of my particular strength, but it is something that we want to have an understanding of what are, and by exegetical tradition, we mean the interpretive framework. For example, the commentaries. How have people understood, the Quran has words, it has language, and how have people understood those words? How have they come to interpret and apply those things? So that's what the commentaries, and there are different types of commentaries. Even today, there are many that have existed throughout history. And we're not going to go through a complete survey of all those, but we'll touch on some of the different things. We're going to look at, maybe a few verses and see how they have been written about and presented by different commentators from different perspectives. From there, and along with that, we will talk about the related way of what the commentators are doing. In addition, there's a unique thing about the Quran, and that is that it does not always agree with the prior scriptures, and it does not always agree with itself. And so we will talk about the doctrine of abrogation, how that works, what are the mechanics of how the Quran, when it comes to be interpreted, how it's being done by Muslims, by believers. Now, along with the topic of abrogation, obviously, as we mentioned, the Quran abrogating itself, canceling out itself where it disagrees with itself, so the later ones will cancel the earlier ones. And the Quran is said, came to be understood, abrogate or cancel out the earlier scriptures. That brings us to the question of the Quran's actual relationship with the earlier revelations, to which it appeals for its authority. But what is the nature of that relationship? Of course, you want to know how this all works. And so we'll think about those kind of things. So the next topic, and we'll hit other related topics as we go through these things, but the next topic is also dealing with the Quran as a physical object, but it turns to the subject of codicology. Codicology is a word that talks about the book itself. What is the description, not necessarily of the text or the contents, but what is the type of script that is used? What is the dimension of the page? What type of binding does it have? What is the layout? Is it horizontal or vertical? Does it have ruling? What kind of materials were used for the binding, and so forth? And does it have margins? Does it have illumination and different colors used and things like that? The reason we'll talk about that is we're considering it as a physical object, and these things are of interest from an art historical point of view, and also from a content point of view when we're trying to, number one, assign a date, as you know, and number two, to consider the relative position of the manuscripts to each other, among other things. But we'll talk about the codicology next. After that, we're going to move back to a little bit toward content and think about some of the textual features, which will include a consideration of, and that will flow into a discussion of the matter of variants. And there are some variants that exist in the Quranic manuscripts. And so I'll present some of those to you. Some of them are acknowledged by the secondary literatures as being legitimate. And some of the variants that exist in the manuscripts are outside of that tradition. So we'll consider what those may mean. and how we should look at them and think about them. The Obviously, the next thing that we will go into is the matter of corrections, and some of the variants have been corrected. Some of the corrections have corrected mistakes. Some of the corrections have corrected things that are probably not mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so this is very much the core of what is my my area of study. So here at this point in the course, I'll be presenting to you some of my own material and talking about examples of some corrections and what are their meanings and where we go from here, and just kind of a glimpse into the current scholarship and my current work. And that brings us to pretty much to the end. And at the end, I'd like to just wrap it all together with some of the popular theological and apologetic implications. Now, as I think you know, Jay, I'm not doing apologetics primarily in my work. I'm not presenting this material. People are using it for its apologetic value. I am interested in the apologetic angle. This is a really important part of this course, is that we're not conducting a sterile pursuit that has no bearing on the real world. So the Quran makes actual claims about truth, and as we mentioned at the beginning, about theology, about what is true about God, what is true about mankind, and about humanity and society and so forth. And so when we draw it back together, I think it would be a very nice place to wind up, is to consider what questions these things that we've talked about raise, and how we should be thinking about them as Christians and scholars, and as just citizens who live in this world alongside other people, and how we should interact with them around the questions of this book and around questions of other books that make such claims. And that's about it.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That very last statement, how we as Christians should be thinking about it, this is something that everybody needs to know. This course is only for Christians. Why? And I know we've got it in the neck when we introduced the course previous by Al Fadi and the one by Dr. Daniel Janasic and myself on the origins of Islam. A lot of the comments when we put this up was, why is this only for Christians? The reason why is because this is taught at a seminary. And a seminary is a place only for Christians. We don't apologize for that. We're trying to help the church and also the community that has to work with Muslims on how to engage with Muslims using their own text. This is unique. This course that Dr. Brubaker is introducing not only uncovers vast parts of looking at the Quran internally, it also looks at the Quran externally, and most importantly, it looks at the Quran historically. There are many people that like to know this material. It will get out there. All of us who are taking the course will be using it and actually unpacking it and getting it up into the internet and using it in discussions and debates with Muslims and others who are interested. But this is only for Christians. Please do not sign up. Please do not come and try to harass the institution if you are not a Christian. You have to believe that Jesus died on the cross and rose again for your salvation in order really to be a part of this course. And this is the statement of faith that VIU, Veritas International University, demands of all their students. Now, how can you get in touch? I'm going to put right here at the bottom of the screen, you will see the email that is there. Go and email that to register. That's all you need to do, is register. They will send you the syllabus. They will send you all the facts and all the figures, all the information on how you can actually be a part of this course. By the end of this month, by the end of May, we will know whether or not it's going to be a in-house, which means that Daniel will actually be there face-to-face, or it'll be entirely on Zoom. We'll know that by the end of May. But we need to have you register. So register right away. Don't wait till June. Otherwise, that'll be too late. You need to register now. Follow and look at that email that I have at the bottom of the screen there. And just ask for Noelle, Noelle. I'll put her name in front of the email. Ask for her. She is the registrar, and she will be the one that will be in contact with you, and she'll be the one that will walk you through as you get ready for this course. I'm excited about this, Daniel, because you are the only one in the world that is doing those last four areas. Those last four areas that you introduced on looking not so much on the codicology, but looking at the textual features, the variants, and the corrections. I don't know of anybody else who is really doing that seriously. I don't know of any Muslims who are really doing that seriously. So you are, in some ways, you are paving the way for many of the others to come behind. And I'm hoping some of the students who sign up will be able to not only take from you and then move on from you, but be be able to use your legacy, because you have really broken open this field. No one else in the world has really done what you have done, and you're getting a reaction. Look what Dr. Tayar Altakulic did just a few months ago, writing an entire book to confront your little book of just a little over 100 pages. If that doesn't show that this is, you are setting a stage, you are doing something that is unique, and you are wakening up the Muslim world to really looking at their book textually and taking seriously these variants. That's why I can't think of a better person to actually teach this course and help the rest of us who like to learn this material understand it, unpack it, and then be able to use it in our own areas of life or our work or our own engagement with others. Thank you so much, Daniel. This has been excellent. I can't wait for this course to start. June 28th is going to be very quick. The rest of you, make sure you get your registrations in. You can take it for credit, you can take it as an audit student, or you can take it as a personal enrichment. All of those three we need to have. It'll be great to have you on board. This is Jay and Daniel. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you on June 28th. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye.